Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining the biggest virtual migration and education session, Conclave 2021, presented by Aussizz Group. Today and tomorrow, we are running various sessions about Australian migration and popular courses available in Australia. Today's session is about teaching courses and the PR pathways after completing the course. The session is conducted by our education consultant, Varinder Kaur from Aussizz Group Melbourne and registered migration agent from Aussizz Group Northbridge, Mai Nguyen. Kindly mute yourself throughout the session. We will be taking the questions at the end of the session, so you can drop your question in the chat room. But due to the time restriction, the consultant and agent will be able to take only limited number of questions. If your questions are unanswered in this session, and if you need your questions answered in a personalized way, please tune into our dedicated Q&A session at the end of today, which is at 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Melbourne time. If you are in Western Australia, that will be 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Our experts will be waiting to take your questions during that session. And I would also like to inform you everyone that this session is going to be recorded. Now I would like to start the session. Today we'll be discussing about teaching courses and PR pathways after completing the course. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Varinder Kaur. She is a certified course advisor. She is a subject matter expert in teaching careers and highly proficient in helping students taking up teaching and education courses. She has helped numerous students from cognate and non-cognate academic background to understand and meet entry requirements for teaching. And she is well versed in placing students at various regional and metropolitan universities. Now I would like to hand over to Varinder Singh. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Varinder and I am a qualified education agent counselor at Aussizz Collins Street office. So today I'm going to discuss about teaching courses and PR pathways. So I have a migration agent with me. So May, after discussion of teaching courses, May will discuss about the PR pathways for the teaching courses. So I will share my presentation with you. So first of all, who is a teacher? So as we all know that we have studied from school level and now we are in this country studying at international level. So first of all, we will introduce who is a teacher. So from helping a student get to that light bulb moment to helping shape the lives of the next generation. So teacher acts like a bulb which actually enlightens this whole world. So there is a huge role of a teacher in everyone's life, as we all know about it. So teaching is a challenging but incredibly a rewarding profession. So there are so many challenges because you have to cope up with so many students in the classroom. You have to understand their behavior. You have to behave according to their needs. So that is called teachers. Teaching is all about shaping the future of a country. If you are thinking to go in this profession, you will be the future of this country. The country's future will be in your hands, and you can imagine from these words how valued you were in the community. Even you won't think about it. And what is the value of a teacher? So teaching, a country that fails to value its teachers fails to value its future. So if a country is not valuing the teacher, they are also fail to value the future of the country as well. So teaching and education is one of the most sought after courses in Australia. So let's have a glimpses of teaching courses available for international students in Australia. So first of all, we will discuss about the types of courses, learning outcomes, and job duties. So early childhood teaching. Early childhood or pre-primary school teachers teach the basics of numeracy, literacy, music, art, and literature to early childhood pre-primary students. So they also teach in kinders as well. Primary teaching. Primary school teachers teach a range of subjects within a prescribed curriculum to primary school students and promote students' social, emotional, intellectual, and physical development. Secondary teaching. Secondary school teachers teach one or more subjects within a prescribed curriculum to secondary school students and promote students' social, emotional, intellectual, and physical development. And the courses are available at diploma, bachelor's, graduate diploma, and master's level. So first of all, we will discuss about the common entry requirements of diploma. So see, all of the specialization are not available at diploma or graduate diploma levels. Most of the specialization are only available at bachelor's and master's level. So what is the common entry requirement of diploma? If you want to study diploma, you can only study for early childhood education and care. It is not available at primary and secondary level. The secondary field. So the minimum English level required to get admission in Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care is 5.5 bands in IELTS or equivalent. And the academic requirements, so the completion of Australian Year 12 and equivalent is required to get admission in Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care. The minimum age of student should be 18 years, and some colleges, they do ask for LLN test as well, which is called Language Literacy and Numeracy Test. And after that, we will discuss about the requirements of graduate diploma level courses. So the graduate diploma of early childhood and education, the minimum requirement in terms of academic is completion of an Australian bachelor degree or equivalent in any field. So even if you are from any background, from IT, accounting, from nursing, any background student can study graduate diploma if you have studied bachelor or equivalent from overseas or from Australia. And the English requirement for this course is overall 7 bands with listening 7.5, reading 6.5, writing 6.5, and speaking 7.5. They do accept IELTS and PT, any kind of English test. And to waive off the English requirement, the minimum 2-year qualification from English speaking countries, bachelor or higher level, completed within last 2 years is required. If you have completed bachelor's or higher level of qualification from English speaking countries and from Australia, this English requirement will be waived off. You don't need to provide the English test certificate. You only need to provide the bachelor certificate, which will waive off the English requirements. Bachelor's level courses. So at bachelor levels, most of the courses, most of the fields are available. You can study early childhood, primary and secondary field courses at bachelor level. So the minimum English requirement for bachelor's is different with every university. So I am just discussing the very common requirement here. So most of the colleges, they are accepting application with overall 6.5 bands with no band less than 6. But some of the universities, they have English requirements according to the AITSL requirements, like they need 8 bands in listening and speaking and 7 bands in reading and writing. So some of the universities, they have requirements according to the AITSL requirements and they ask this band score, but there are providers who are even giving admission on overall 6.5 bands with no band less than 6. And the academic requirement to get admission in bachelor's level courses is completion of Australian Year 12 and equivalent. And there are universities who ask for Casper test. This is entrance test for actually teachers. So it is a kind of situation judgmental test. So you will get the scenarios in the test. So you have to perform according to the scenarios. You have to think hypothetically on that situation and provide the answers accordingly. So you can take Casper test and then you will be eligible to get admission. So it is not required for every university. So for the teaching, every university has different requirements. Some universities, they only take their own test, which is like language literacy and numeracy test and land type test as well. So it depends where you want to get admission, but Casper is the most particular test most of the universities are taking. So you can take this test every month. There are dates available every month once, and you have to apply for the application for this test, and then only you will be appear if you want to go in that particular university who is taking admission just with the Casper test. And in the similar way, like I told you in the graduate diploma courses, if you want to study bachelor's and you are not meeting the English requirements, this will be waived off if you have studied any other bachelor or higher level course within the last 2 years in English speaking country or in Australia. And then we will discuss about the master level courses. In master level courses, you can again study early childhood, primary and secondary teaching courses. The English requirement is again same. It is different with every university or college. Some universities, they are still taking the students on overall 6.5 bands with no band less than 6, but some universities, they do ask 8877 bands, similar like the bachelors. And the academic background is bachelor in any discipline. Even if you are from different background, you haven't studied anything related to teaching, you are eligible to get admission in Master of Teaching. But there are some students from IT backgrounds, they are not able to get admission. The reason behind is that you have to go according to your bachelor specialization. So the minimum requirement is you should have studied 8 subjects in your bachelor if you want to choose majors in that particular. So some of the universities, when they check IT subjects, if they don't have that majors available in masters, that students do not qualify for admission. But it doesn't mean that you will not get admission. There are universities who are providing admissions on the basis of different subjects as well. So it depends. So you can only find out after looking at your transcript where you are able to get admission. But in 99% cases, most of the students, they get admission. And similar like bachelors, the entry requirement for master level courses is again Casper test and LLN test, which is called language literacy and numeracy test. And some of the universities, they don't ask for any test, they only ask for teaching capability statement. You have to write a teaching capability statement, which is around 1 to 2 pages of statement. You have to submit that, and this test requirement will be waived off. And in that capability statement, you only need to submit, like there is 2 or 3 kind of questions. Every university, they have different questions, like why you want to become a teacher, so what motivates you to become a teacher, or what you will do after finishing of your course, and how you will handle the classroom in this profession. So every university, they have different questions, and they designed it according to their curriculum, and then you have to answer those 3 questions. Some universities ask you to submit the teaching capability statement online, and then they don't need this Casper test or LLN test. And in the same way, like I told you, for bachelor or graduate diploma, the English requirements can be waived off if you have studied anything from any study bachelor or higher level course from Australia within the last 2 years. This English requirement will be waived off. And then after that, we will discuss about the popular universities offering teaching courses. So Charles Darwin University, Swinburne University, Southern Cross Education Institute, Flinders University, Murdoch University, Curtin University, the University of Western Australia, Victoria University, RMIT University, and many more. So here, most of the teaching courses, scholarship actually depends on your weighted average marks. So whatever you have achieved in your previous completed qualification when you are planning to take admission, the scholarship will totally depend on your weighted average marks, whatever you achieved in your previous qualification. So like Swinburne University is offering up to 25%. So if you, it depends what is your percentage, and then according to that percentage, they will offer you the scholarship. So Charles Darwin University is offering up to 50% scholarship. Flinders University is offering scholarship to every student, which is called Go Beyond Scholarship, and which is 20%, and it is available for everyone. And Murdoch University is offering up to 30%. Again, it depends on the WAM. And then Victoria University is offering 20% scholarship, which is again for every student. And then now I'm just discussing about approximate fees for with the course levels. So every university and college has different fee. So we will just discuss about some of the popular providers. So at diploma level, Swinburne University is offering 16,800 approximately per year fees. So most of the diploma level courses comes in between 1.5 to 2 years of duration. And Southern Cross Education Institute is offering 15,500 approximately. Lead College is offering 14,000 approximately. This is per year fees. And then bachelors. So bachelors of education is 4 years course, and Swinburne University is offering 27,560 per year fees. It is excluding scholarship. If you will get scholarship, it will reduce according to your scholarship amount. Icon Institute is offering 9,000 per year. SCI is 18,000. Charles Darwin University is $26,712, and Murdoch University is 30,000 approximately. And the graduate diploma level courses, graduate diploma's duration is 1 year only, and it is only available for early childhood and education. So Southern Cross University Gold Coast campus is offering it in $26,800 per year. Victoria University is offering $27,000. And if you are on 485 visa and you want to study graduate diploma of early childhood in Victoria University, they are offering it in $22,000. And RMIT University is offering $30,000. And master level courses, the duration of master level courses are 2 years. CDU is offering $28,014 approximately per year fees. Swinburne University is $27,560. ACU is $24,100 approximately, and Flinders University is offering in $33,000. Again, if you are getting scholarship in Flinders University, your final fees will be around $26,000 something, and Murdoch University is offering in $30,000 per year. And career opportunities. So what will be the possible job outcome? So what you will become after finishing your course? You can work as an early childhood educator, pre-primary school teacher, secondary school teacher, primary school teacher, children's services coordinator, family daycare coordinator, playgroup coordinator, child care center manager. And what will be the average salary? What will be the average weekly salary in teaching profession? So I'm just discussing about 3 or 4 professions here which are very popular. So early childhood educator earns in between 1400 to 1500 weekly. Primary school teacher earns in between 1700 to 1800 weekly. Secondary school teacher is the highest one, which is in between 1900 to 2000 weekly, and child care center manager earns in between 1200 to 1300 per week. That is the approximation salary in Australia according to the profession. So what will be the 5 years industry projection? So where this industry will be in the coming 5 years? So future growth is very strong in this profession. As I told you, you are going to become the future of this country, and even the growth in this profession is very, very strong. So the employment level for early childhood educators will increase from 22.1% by 2023, which is a huge peak. And the 4% projected growth will be in childcare industry. So you can find the childcare in any area. If you are studying anything related to diploma, graduate diploma of early childhood education and care, even for bachelors and masters as well, you can find job easily in any state. It's really easy to find jobs. You can work in kinders, and kinder is easily available anywhere in any part of Australia. So it's not harder to find job as an early childhood educator. And the most of the growth in this field will be in childcare industry only. Secondary school teacher demand will increase by 7.1% in 2023. And now I will discuss about the statewide employment skills shortage. So the projected growth by 2023 in early childhood will be more in New South Wales as compared to all other states, which will be 35.2%, followed by Victoria, which will be 24.1%. So after that, there is Queensland 16.5%, and then in Western Australia, which is 10.8%, South Australia is 9.7%, and then after that there is Tasmania 2%, Canberra, Australian Capital Territory will be 1.8%, and then Northern Territory is 0.9%. So you can find out which state needs more teacher. If you are thinking about future growth and if you are thinking about career, you can choose that state accordingly. Whoever needs more teacher, you can study from that state, and that will be more beneficial for you to find out the job. And here I'm discussing about the projected growth in a particular industry. So early childhood teachers will be more in demand in education and training industry. So obviously the field is related to that industry. And then after that, it is healthcare and social assistance. And after that, public administration, safety, admission and sports services and other industries needs very less teachers as compared to healthcare and social assistance and education and training. So now I will discuss about the statewide employment skills shortage for secondary school teachers. So the projected job growth by 2023 in New South Wales, again like early childhood teacher, will be highest, which is 33.5%, followed by Victoria, which is 26.4%. And then it is Western Australia again, the Queensland, which will be 19%, and Western Australia 10.2%. Then South Australia 6.3%, Tasmania 2.2%, and ACT 1.7%, and then at last there is Northern Territory, which will be 0.7%. So again, the projected growth in particular industry for secondary teaching will be, like, obviously the highest will be in education and training, because the field is related to education and training, and then there is less requirement in all other fields. And that was all for the teaching profession. So you can leave the session review at the given link, and thank you. Now May will discuss about the permanent residency pathways for teaching courses. So I will hand over to May. So yes, May, you can discuss now about the PR pathways for all the courses.
Thank you very much, Varinder. I would now like to introduce our registered migration agent speaker for today. Her name is Mai Nguyen. She is a Juris Doctor and a registered migration agent from Aussizz Group Northbridge in Western Australia, with a distinguished background in education and immigration law and practice. She has a law degree and a master's in education tertiary in adult, skilled in a broad spectrum of skill assessment guidelines for various occupations and visa categories. Ms. Nguyen takes an active role in shaping immigration policies by representing migrant interests to local government bodies and policy makers. Now I would like to hand over to Mai Nguyen. Yeah, Mai.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you again, Varinder, for your very detailed and valuable session today. We have a better understanding of the high demand that Australia needs for teachers everywhere in all the states and territory. Okay, so first up, let's revise skills migration requirement, because we need to know exactly what it requires of you if you want to find PR pathway in Australia. So first up, you know that you must be under 45 years old, okay? And you must have studied at least 2 years in Australia. So some courses that offers 1.5 years of a master's course, or even 1 year, would not help you to find PR pathway if you do not study at least 92 weeks or 2 years worth of a course or study that you choose. The next one is you must have at least 65 points to your name for EUI. And what is EUI? It's expression of interest. Okay. So literally, it's like a proposal that you make to the world, to immigration, to all the states and territory, to say that you have a number of points that that you've claimed from certain aspects of your age, your work experience, your degree qualification, and you know, if you've gained further work experience from Australia, and you can gain points from back home in your home country. I'll talk further about that later. And the most important thing is that you must have a full skills assessment from any relevant authority body. Okay, so when we're talking about teaching, then the relevant assessing authority body would be AITSL. Okay, you must have that under your belt, or else you will not be able to commence your PR pathway applications. All right, let's move on. Okay, so what does AITSL stand for? It's the Australian Institute for Teaching and School Leadership. So they have an English requirement. Okay, there's a typo there. So for writing, it should be 7.0. So when you sit for an IELTS test, you must have at least overall 7.5. The reading must be a minimum of 7.0, writing minimum of 7.0, speaking minimum 8.0, and listening minimum of 8. Or else, if you have studied at least 4 years full-time in the higher education sector at any universities in Australia or in Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, United Kingdom, and USA, then you'll be exempt from showing your IELTS results. So, apart from that English requirement, you need to also show evidence of supervised teaching practice. Okay, so while you're studying and then throughout the course, there will be an opportunity for you to do this practice as part of your course. So to show to the Skills Assessment Authority body, AITSL, you must show evidence that you have an official document from the university that you're studying from. And that teaching practice has been supervised and have to have occurred with school students in a school setting, or else you won't qualify. So for recent graduates from Australian universities, there'll be certain documents that you must also provide to AITSL. So you also need to provide the final academic transcript for each year that you studied, and also the official statement confirming the completion of your study. So that would be the completion letter. Make sure that in that completion letter, you should have the actual detail of the course commencement date and also the completion date, okay? All right, so the main teacher occupation that would give you a chance for PR pathway would be as a secondary teacher or as an early childhood teacher, because those occupations can be found on the list of occupations from the medium to long-term strategic skills list, MLTSSL. Okay. Now, Varinder did mention other educational courses like a Bachelor in primary teaching, primary education, that you would eventually become a primary teacher. Unfortunately, primary teachers as an occupation cannot be found on this list of occupation for PR pathway. So apart from secondary teacher and early childhood teacher, there are other specialized teacher occupations such as the hearing impaired, okay, and the short-sighted specialization teachers. Those kind of teacher occupation is quite limited to certain people who've got specialization in that area. Mainly, you should focus on becoming either a secondary teacher or an early childhood teacher, okay? Now, graduates studying at least 2 years in Australia, okay, and you have completed your course or study, at least any course at the bachelor's or master's or PhD level at the higher education sector, for sure, you'll be eligible to apply for a temporary graduate visa, subclass 485, and that will be the post-study work stream, as opposed to somebody who studied under the higher education sector, and they would be at the graduate work stream. Okay, the beauty of this temporary graduate visa, it's like it's a gift from the government to people like yourself who have invested time, money, and effort into Australia to, study and be qualified. But then it's like a gift in the sense that they'll allow you to stay back in Australia temporarily and have full-time work rights. As you know, when you're on a student visa, you're not allowed to work full-time except when you're on holidays, etc. So when you apply for your graduate visa, right, and when you're granted that, the essence of it that you have at least 2 years of a temporary stay in Australia. Now, if you study at the major cities like Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane, then you only have a 2-year of a graduate visa. But if you study anywhere else in the regional area, in Perth, in Darwin and Adelaide, any other places outside of those 3 major cities, you will qualify to at least have a chance to apply for an extra 1 year of extension of your graduate visa, okay? Now, graduates, when you have graduated and you're on your 485 visa, let's say, you have every chance to apply for an expression of interest, okay? But before you can do that, remember, you must apply for your skills assessment. And so the relevant assessing authority body for teachers would be AITSL. So the skilled migration visas that you should be aware of would be the subclass 189, 190 and 491. Okay, the difference would be the 189 subclass visa is the independent skilled visa. And literally with this visa, you are competing against the whole of Australia, against the whole of all the graduates graduating from everywhere in Australia. So of course, there's a demand for, it's very competitive because the EUI points that's required to be invited for this particular visa is quite high. In general, we are seeing that across the whole sectors, professional occupations, you would need around at least 90 points and above to have a good chance to be invited early for your independent skilled visa, the subclass 189. Now, when we're talking about the 190 and the 491 visa, this is for this is related to different states and territory. They have their own 190 and 491 subclass, and so if we're talking about, let's say, in WA, at this moment in time, it's the occupation of secondary teacher and early childhood teacher is currently closed, but we're hoping and we've envisaged that it will reopen very soon. So if that is the case, then when they do reopen, as compared to all the other states and territory, if you find this particular occupation as a secondary teacher or early childhood teacher on the list of occupations for your own state that you're living and currently studying in, then you have a chance to put your EUI, lodge an EUI, and then put your name down for that particular subclass visa 190 and 491, and you wait. Usually, it's every month that they have the rounds of invitation for each state and territory. So if you ever receive from Skill Select an invitation like for instance, you've received an invitation to apply to your state for the 190 visa or 491, then you're more than halfway there for your PR pathway, okay? Now, I just want to help you. When we're talking about EUI, expression of interest points, how does it work and how to claim the points? At the end of the day, you need to know that to meet the eligibility criteria, to start you're on your way to apply for your skilled migration visa to gain PR in Australia, the minimum points is 65 points, okay? And a lot of people can gain that over time once you completed your course of study, because you would have gained extra points for studying at least 2 years in Australia and further on. So I just want to go through with you to help you to kind of collate potentially how many points you could gain from your studies in Australia, okay? So the system, how it works is you can claim points for your age. So from 18 to 24 years old, you can claim 25 points, all right? The maximum points for age is 30. So the ideal age would be from 25 to 32 years old. You can claim the maximum points would be 30 points, okay? Then if you get older than that, from 33 to 39, you've lost 5 points. So you can only claim 25 points. If you get a little bit older, so there are mature age students who come over to study master's degree or even bachelors for whatever reason, and then they end up graduating, but then their age would be like a bit of a deficit for them. So from 40 to 45 years old, you've lost 10 points, actually a lot of points, 15. So you only can claim 15 points for your age. Now, moving on to English competency. So when we're talking about teachers, remember when I mentioned about the skills assessment requirement for you to be recognised as a teacher in Australia, you need to show at least 7788. Okay, so 7 in reading, writing minimum 7, speaking 8, listening 8. All right, that's when you have graduated and then you want to apply for skills assessment, then you need to show that kind of competency. But in a ballpark figure, you'd want to claim as many points as you can get, all right? So usually when you sit an English IELTS test, then like you can see there, to get competent English, you need 7 in each for IELTS, and that will give you 10 points, okay? To better that, you need to get superior English, 8 in each, to claim 20 points. So if you can get a skills assessment out of the way for you, which means you probably, if not already got 8 in each as for superior English, then you can just try a little bit harder just to get 8 in each in every kind of band. Then you can claim easily the 20 points, all right? So I don't think it's hard for you to get because you would have got skills assessment out of the way. Now, for work experience inside Australia, the idea would be that if you can stay long enough, then you can gain a lot of points for your work experience in Australia. If you can see that from 8 to 10 years work experience as a teacher, you can gain 15 points, and it goes down. From 5 to 7 to 10 points, 3 to 4 years, 5 points. The usual way to gain points here after people graduate from being an international student is that while you're on graduate visa for 2 years or 3, depending if you lived and studied in a regional area, you can get extra years, or all up 3 years on a 4 or 5 visa, the graduate visa. So potentially, usually, people can gain easy 5 points if they can find a job working in the nominal occupation as a teacher for 1 to 2 years. They claim 5 points. Okay, and how do you claim that? Well, from your payslip and from the employment contract, it will show the commencement date of your employment and to when. So that would easily prove the number of years. Okay, now for those who can stay longer than 2 years, so they have an extension of 1 more year on their graduate visa because they live and studied in a regional area, then for sure they could potentially claim, 5 or 3 or 4, still 5 points. Okay, now outside of Australia, if they can have work experience outside of Australia, then they can, if they had worked as a teacher many years, then from 3 to 4 years, they can claim 10 points. Okay, let's move on to degree. All right, if you're really, really brilliant in your studies, and if you have done a PhD, graduated from it, then the completion letter will show that you've proved that you have completed a PhD in Australia or anywhere else. You can claim 20 points. With a bachelor or master's degree, either a bachelor or master's, you can only claim 15 points. And then if you studied a diploma or certificate, it's 10 points. So Masters of Teaching, Bachelors of Education, 15 points you can claim. Now, if you studied in a regional area, then you can easily pick up an extra 5 more points. And when you see accredited in community language, NAATI CCL, this is if you can speak another language apart from the English language. But if you can speak even from your home country, the language that you normally speak as a native speaker, and if that's on the list, that can be the language can be found on the NAATI CCL list of languages that you can sit the test for, and if you pass it, you can claim 5 points. Now I need to warn you that this NAATI CCL language test is not an easy test to accomplish to get the 5 points, because you need to pass probably over 60% of the test to even pass it. And I hear that it's not just the everyday language where you just revert back to English or back to your native language or the language that you know of. They will put you in a situation where you potentially, for example, are in a hospital setting environment. You need to know certain jargons specifically for the medical sector as well. So keep that in mind. But if you can manage to pass it, you can claim 5 points. Now, professional years for those students, graduates who studied either accounting, IT, or engineering, those are the people who could claim potentially 5 points from doing the PY program, the professional year. So this would not apply for you if you study teaching to become a teacher. For the state sponsorship, the different states that you live and study in, if you put your name down or apply for the EUI and you choose the 190 subclass, you can claim, if you get invited, you can claim 5 points for that because you studied in that state nomination. And for 491 subclass, you can claim an extra 15 points. Now, if you're single, then being single in itself, you can claim 10 points, okay? But if you have a spouse, either you're married or you're in a de facto relationship, that means you're a partner, then if the spouse can complete an English test, competency test, either PT or IELTS, and if they have, let's say, IELTS of competent English 6.0, then you can claim from them 5 points. Now, if your spouse, on top of that, also has a skill that Australia needs, the occupation that can be found from the medium and long-term list, and if they can get the skills assessment to prove that they qualify for that occupation, then you can claim 10 points from them. Okay? So all up, if you do your calculations, you would have more than 65 points. Yeah. So you would most probably, because you studied, especially teaching, you would need a lot of points to be, let's say, invited for teachings, because right now, even though there's a shortage of teachers, usually teachers for the 189 independent skill visa, you need to show at least around 90 points to be invited early. Okay, but I feel that you have every chance to get invited for PR pathway, especially because you can gain extra points for studying in Australia, extra points if you study in a regional area, and for sure you would normally end up most likely to obtain a superior English competency, because you would have started with a very high level of English competency to enroll to study the course anyway, okay, the teaching course, all right? So that comes to the end of my session with you, and if you have any questions so far, I'm happy to take it now, or else we'll leave it to this afternoon.
Thank you, Mai, and thank you, Varinder. We do still have about 10 minutes left for the session, and we do have some questions popping up in the comments section. So I'll just read it out for you guys. The first question is from Atia Salim. What if I do diploma in early childhood teaching? Do I need work experience for skills assessment?
Okay, early childhood, if I can tell you that in the past, many years now, the relevant assessing authority body is with TRA, Trades Recognition Australia. But a couple of years now, they've moved that the TRA no longer accepts skills assessment application for early childhood, because in terms of to become a childcare centre manager, okay? If you're just studying, let's say, certificate and diploma of early childhood, the natural occupation that comes out of that would be as a childcare centre manager, okay? Now, what's happened is from TRA, they've moved on to SICA, okay, which is a new skills assessment assessing authority body. And with that, to become a childcare centre manager these days, you need to show that at least 3 years of full-time work experience in the occupation as a childcare centre manager. And with that, we feel that's very, very difficult for the typical student who came over to Australia to study the certificate 3 and diploma just in early childhood. Okay, so if you're thinking about PR pathway as just finishing up with just a diploma of early childhood education and care as a certificate in your hand, it's going to be very difficult for you to find PR in that way, or to even find a skills assessment easily, because if you're just studying at the vocational education sector courses, you only get 1.5 years of your graduate visa, okay? And how are you going to be able to satisfy the 3 years requirement to be able to find a job and work in the industry as a childcare centre manager? It's going to be very difficult.
Thank you, Mai. The next question is from Amandeep Kaur. As priority list is being considered these days in Australia for PR grant, and teaching profession isn't in the priority list, does that mean my application will not be considered for PR? I am graduating this month as a secondary teacher.
Okay. Okay. Well, it doesn't mean that there's no hope for you, because there will be changes that's coming soon. And with the, I don't know which state you're studying or you're graduating in, but overall, the skills migration, like in terms of invitation round, it's going to still continue. All right. So, and if you qualify for, you definitely qualify for your graduate visa that will give you at least 2 years, depending on where you study. If you study in the major cities, then you only have 2 years from now on and to the future. But if you studied in the regional area, you'll get an extra 1 year extension. So you have 3 years to wait to have a chance to get onto that PR pathway. So it's not the end of the world. Please don't think that it's the dead end for you. I can see that there's big potential coming up soon, so don't lose hope.
The other question is from Madhushika. I completed my bachelor's in computing. Can I get teaching PR after my MSc computing? Is it a problem for teaching skill assessment, or how can I apply?
Well, I believe that with a bachelor's in your possession, if you want to become a teacher in Australia, the next step would be that you enroll to study a Master's of Teaching. Okay, and you specialize either as an early childhood teacher or as a secondary teacher. No primary teachers, because Australia doesn't need primary teachers at the moment. It's not on the medium and long term strategic skills list. So you can't just base upon just having a bachelor's degree and studying like a graduate diploma or something, because right now we're seeing that the easiest way for you to become a teacher and the shortest and maybe affordable would be to do a Master's of Teaching, which is would only take you 2 years to study. Varinder, do you have anything to say about this?
Yes, May. So if student wants to get skill assessment as a teacher, he or she has to study Masters of Teaching after completion of Bachelor. They can't get skill assessment after completion of MSc Computing, because for that study, obviously, the skill assessment authority will be different. So student has to study Masters of Teaching. Either if they want to study secondary education, they need to find out whatever student has studied in bachelor's, and then according to the bachelor subjects, they can take admission. They can choose the specialization in Masters of Teaching, as I discussed in my part as well. So if student is from IT background, it's a little bit harder. Computing is also same. It's a little bit harder to choose the university, but there are many universities who are providing admission even with IT background as well. So student don't need to worry. They can definitely get admission. So, but he or she has to study like a Masters of Teaching only.
Okay, thank you, Varinder and May. Yeah. The next question is from Ritika. PR pathway with graduate diploma in early childhood education.
Okay, as I said before, if you become a teacher itself, so long as you qualified as a teacher in Australia in early childhood, then of course there's ample chance for you to get PR. All right, it depends on what you study. So Varinder would have covered that already. So long as you study at least the bachelor's or master's level in the right course that in early childhood, then you will get your PR pathway. Hope that. Varinder, would you like to explain further if you'd like to input further about that?
Yes. So there is another question from Prerit as well. So he's also asking if graduate diploma offered by Victoria University qualify for skills assessment. Yes, they have like their qualification assessed already from the authorized authority. So it will qualify if you want to study graduate diploma from Victoria University. They are also providing 60 days training as well, which is the placement included in the course. So after completion of every subject, sometimes they provide in the block mode. So after completion of every subject, there will be the placements for 10 days. And then sometimes they provide after the semester as well. So there are 2 semesters. So it depends if you are taking admission in semester system or in the block mode. But they are covering 60 days of training in their course, and they have accreditation as well. And after completion of graduate diploma in early childhood, you will get skill assessment as an early childhood educator. Yep.
The next question is from Chitra. It is mentioned that English language requirement can be exempted for skills assessment as a secondary level teacher if we have 4 years of Australian degree. Can it be combined, 2 years of IT degree and 2 years of teaching?
Yeah, I think so. If you studied in Australia for 4 years in that higher education sector, then it should work. Yeah.
The next question is from Tarun. Hi, I'm currently studying my bachelor's in Melbourne. I'm planning to do early childhood after my degree. What should I do? A graduate diploma or a master's?
Varinder, would you like to say something?
Yes, May. So yes, Tarun, if you have studied bachelor's already, you can study 1 year of graduate diploma of early childhood. Either you are studying bachelor, master's, or graduate diploma. The learning outcome will be early childhood educator. So you will, even after completion of graduate diploma, you will get the same occupation. You will get the skill assessment in the same occupation. So you can go for 1 year graduate diploma if you want to study in Melbourne. RMIT and Victoria University is offering this course, and both of them, they have accreditation.
So would it be cheaper then? Would Varinder?
Sorry?
Would it be more affordable to do that?
Yeah. So yes. Yes. So the fees in Victoria University, if you have completed bachelor's already, if you are on 485 visa, it will be 22,000 approximately. But if you are planning to study on the student visa, it will be around 28,000 in Victoria University and 30,000 in RMIT University.
The next question is from Fatima. I have just finished Master of Teaching Early Childhood from Sydney, and so far I have 80 points. Can I apply for 189 or 190? Currently, I'm living in Hawkesbury Regional for 6 months. Can you please tell me what opportunities I have for PR?
Well, I'm not from Sydney, so I'm not too familiar with that. But all I can say on my side is, as long as you have at least 65 points for EUI, then, and also that you've already applied for your AITSL skills assessment, then of course you can lodge in your application for the EUI, leave your name there. And I strongly suggest that at least any time that you have at least even 65 points, hurry it up and lodge the EUI and leave your name there, because it's working on the ranking system. The sooner you put your name down, the better. And as soon as you can improve upon your points, then you just update it and it will just jump up accordingly. But Varinder, are you familiar with Sydney?
Sorry?
Are you familiar with Sydney state nomination?
Yes.
Teachers, yeah. Could you, how are they inviting people at 80 points at the moment?
I haven't seen any invite so far.
Yeah.
But there are some students who applied in ACT. They actually got it for early childhood educator. Mm-hmm. There are like I know a few students. They moved to Canberra and just worked there for like 2 to 3 months, and they got 190 state invitation.
So once you find an employment a contract and start working, you have every good chance to get onto your PR pathway soon. Yeah, and even Victoria, before this pandemic, even Victoria was also giving it if someone is working like from last 6 months. So in Victoria Regional, students were getting 491. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we have run out of time for today. Thank you very much, Mai and Varinder, for joining us for the session today about teaching and PR pathways. For those people who have left their questions in the chat box, we won't be able to answer it during this session, but just to let you know that we do have a Q&A session towards the end of the day. The link for the Q&A session has been shared in the chat box. We do have other sessions running after this session has ended, which are management and marketing course and PR pathways, nursing courses and PR pathways, and community service and PR pathways. The link to join this session has been shared in the chat box as well. And I would like to thank everyone who has joined the session, and I would like to request you to leave us some feedback so we can like improve. We will be doing this more and more again and again for the benefit of all the guests who have joined us today, all the international students who are confused about migration pathways, courses, and you don't have time due to this current situation. If you cannot come to our office, then this kind of session will be very useful for you. So we definitely want to improve in future how we can give you more benefit out of these sessions. So I have shared a link for the feedback form. It will be great if you can leave us some feedback as well. And please do join our other sessions. And the link that you registered for Conclave, in that you can find all the session links. And for the Q&A session as well, the link will be there. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.